It's officially BYU week as a top 10 clash is set to partake out at the Jones on Saturday morning, where college game day will be in attendance. In today's video, we'll discuss what Joey McGuire had to say about BYU, what Texas Tech fans need to know leading up into this top 10 clash, and much more, including how the Red Raiders have to win the physicality battle. Let's get to it. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Red and Black Report. Appreciate y'all tuning in to today's video. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button, as it's the best way to help support the channel here. And, well, the content's 100% free. I actually checked with YouTube. I cannot make it more free than that. So if you want 100% free Texas Tech football and men's basketball content right here on the most authentic Texas Tech YouTube channel, we've got you covered right here on the RBR. All right, let's get into this. As the opening comment from Joey McGuire at his BYU presser leading up into this top 10 matchup out in the 806 was simply, it's going to be a heavyweight fight. And he's 100% right. These are probably, in terms of physically gifted rosters in the Big 12, at least two of the top three. I would put Utah in there as well, but it could be 1 and 2. And they're clearly the top two teams in the Big 12 as it stands right now. McGuire was thoroughly impressed by Bear Brockmeyer, the quarterback, the freshman quarterback for BYU. He's got a big arm. He can run the ball. We'll talk about him a lot more in the preview video that will go live here on the channel on Wednesday. But the Red Raiders have entered the top 10, and that was something Joey McGuire discussed as we take a look at the latest AP Top 25 poll. The Red Raiders jumped 4 spots from number 13 all the way to 9. BYU, after a bye week, is now number 8. It is indeed a top 10 matchup on College game day. The premier matchup in game in all of college football will take place at Jones AT&T Stadium in Lubbock, Texas. Now, Joey McGuire made sure to really emphasize this point in terms of this matchup for Texas Tech. It is going to take everybody to beat BYU. And one of the interesting aspects of this is really these two teams are clearly the two best defensive units in the Big 12. We'll talk about how the Red Raiders, in my opinion, really don't get enough credit for how great they are defensively. Like, this is the best defensive unit Texas Tech has ever had by a multitude of metrics. And we'll talk about that here in just a little bit in terms of some of the data points that we need to discuss on that front. But Joey McGuire mentioned that the linebackers are taking it as a challenge, that BYU is the only team in the Big 12 that has a better turnover margin in terms of you giveth, you taketh away type deal. They're at +10. Texas Tech is at +8 when it comes down to it. The big key point that Joey McGuire discussed from an overall standpoint for this Texas Tech football team headed into this week and what they have done well, most notably at Kansas State, is the strong fourth quarters. He said that is a plan and point of emphasis for the Red Raiders, and he harpened upon the fact that it's hard to beat this team because the O-line gets going in the run game, and you're really trying to stop the physicality aspect of it, and you just can't do it because the opposing defense has been on the field so long because, well, the Texas Tech defense doesn't really let the opposing offense do a damn thing. You look at what the Red Raiders did from midway through the second quarter to the final second ticking off of that scoreboard there in Manhattan, Kansas. They outscored Kansas State, 43-13. And a lot of that was due to turnovers. And putting Texas Tech offensively in a really good spot was the Texas Tech defense. So it's definitely something to monitor on that front. Now, the CFP initial rankings come out on Tuesday. Last point before we get into, well, BYU's defensive challenges, and we'll go a little bit more in depth here in just a second. But Joey McGuire, interestingly enough, said, I'm so fired up to see him. He's a college football fan, he said, and it's going to be fun to potentially see his Texas Tech team in those initial rankings. Now, he did say that, well, they don't really matter too much, right? Like, he wants to be in those final rankings, but it is something that he hopes the Big 12 is well represented. He thinks they should be. He thinks BYU and Texas Tech should be in there, and maybe another team as well, but definitely those two teams as they are set to battle out in the 806. Now, real quick, in terms of the defensive challenges that the BYU Cougars will present to the Texas Tech offense, he mentioned are really good at creating turnovers, take a lot of space. They are big human beings. This is easily the biggest team Texas Tech has played so far from just a sheer human perspective. How does the offensive line really adjust to that? We'll see how that goes. The Red Raiders have to win their one-on-one matchups on the outside, and that's something that we'll talk about in Keys of the Game later on this week here on the channel, a little bit more in depth, and then just the physicality aspect of it. It is going to be an absolute pivotal piece of the pie in terms of Texas Tech has to win that if they want to win this football game on Saturday, afternoon out in the 806. All right. I want to talk about this Texas Tech defense. See some stats on your screen right there. And we talked about it a little bit already after the Kansas State game here on the channel. But the Red Raiders, this is the best defense this team has ever had. And I shouldn't say team, program. This defense is in every letter of the word elite. I mean, just all 5 letters, they fit the criteria. Okay. They are top 10 in terms of yards per game allowed. You see that on your screen right there. They are the #1 rushing defense in all of college football by 4 yards per game. Okay. They are top 5 in terms of points per game allowed, damn near tied for 4th. We go on and we look at other aspects of this, most notably rushing. They are allowing 2.4 yards per rush attempt, okay? They have allowed 5 total touchdowns on the year. But let's go over to this fumble department, shall we? They are tied for first alongside their Big 12 brethren in the Houston Cougars, and Eric Morris is the former Red Raider great, North Texas Mean Green. This defense is legit in every sense of the word, okay? And you look at some of these other aspects that they're in as well, and they've done a solid job in the passing game. But really, when we go to the totals here, the thing that stands out most to me, again, you limit everyone on the ground. They have to beat you through the air, and it's a double-edged sword here, right? Why is that 196.8 so high? Well, because every team and their mom, as I get back on the screen here, is trying to catch up to you. You are beating opponents, well, except for, Arizona State, where you lost that football game by at least 23 points in every game. Okay, they're going to pass the ball, so inherently they're going to have more passing yards against you. They can't run the football worth a damn because your front 4 is the elite of the elite in all of college football, starting with Lee Hunter. You had Skylar Gill-Howard in there. Now you replace him with A.J. Holmes Jr. Obviously, David Bailey, Romello Height make up the edge. There's a lot of other guys, including Jaden Cofield, Duda Banks. You've got Chetta Ofili, right? Like, you've got multiple star impact players, and I haven't even mentioned the linebackers yet. Okay, this Texas Tech defense is the best that we have ever seen wear the scarlet and black. It is led by David Bailey, who leads college football in sacks, and he is well on his way to potentially setting the all-time program record for sacks in a season. He currently has 11.5, and, the current program record is 15. I say current because I have a feeling we're going to have a new one at the end of this season. He's also in range to potentially break the Big 12 regular season single-season record in terms of sacks per season, in a season, I should say. And that's Von Miller down at Texas A&M in 2009, by the way, the same year that Texas Tech had their single season mark set by Brandon Sharp with 15. This is an elite defense, and this is going to be an elite defensive matchup. Joey McGuire knows that. You know that too. It's going to be unbelievable, the environment that we will see out in Lubbock, Texas. This is the biggest game since Michael Crabtree was wearing the scarlet and black. The biggest game since Graham Harrell was wearing the scarlet and black. Since Lyle Leong Jr. was wearing the scarlet and black. Like legends of this program, okay? They know that, and they're embracing all of it, is this Texas Tech football team. And I just can't wait to be out there to see this environment. One that, as a student, being out there from 14 to 19, like, we didn't see very many games like this. The biggest game I can remember really when I was a student was the Baker Mayfield return game, right? And this one has way more higher significance. Who gives a damn about Baker returning? You have a chance to basically solidify your spot in the Big 12 title game out in Arlington, Texas. One of your main goals this year, if you are the Red Raiders. Now, you got to handle business after that for the final 2 games of the regular season. But if you win this football game, Texas Tech, you are in a prime position to make history for this program. And it's going to be absolutely marvelous to be a part of it out in the 806. All right, again, Texas Tech top 10 clash out in the 806. College game day will be there. I'll be there. I hope y'all will be there as well. If you will, let me know down in the comments below. This Texas Tech defense is the best in the country in my estimation. Maybe I'm out of pocket. Maybe I got those scarlet and black colored glasses on. I always do, but I try and be objective about it. And then this is the biggest game for Texas Tech since Michael Crabtree, Graham Harrell, Lyle Leong Jr. The list goes on and on. We're on campus with Mike Leach at the helm. It's going to be a doozy out in the 806, and we'll preview a lot more of this game later on in the week, including a game preview, keys to the game, and maybe a live. We'll see how we go all here on the channel. Appreciate y'all tuning into today's video. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button to join the largest group of Texas Tech fans here on YouTube in the Red and Black Report. All right, I'm RC Maxfield reminding you, as always, stay safe and Wreck 'em Tech.